Game of Believe It or Not, NFL edition. Mike Tannenbaum, Shedeur Sanders will start for the Cleveland Browns before Thanksgiving. Believe it or not?
Believe it. Let's move it up a holiday. Let's go Halloween, and here's why. He is a talented quarterback. I liked him coming out. Obviously, there's been a lot of noise, but if we're running the Browns, guys, we have to know what we have in Shedeur Sanders, who's a better prospect than third-round draft choice Dylan Gabriel. I think they'll trade Kenny Pickett, Joe Flacco, great bridge quarterback. Play Shedeur Sanders, see what you have in him. You have 2 first-round picks next year. Use this year to discover what you have with him.
Bill, Mike's got the whole plan mapped out. What do you think?
I'm a little skeptical. I think the Browns are going to have enough of the defense to be competitive later into the year. I wouldn't be shocked in December if we saw Shedeur Sanders, but I think they're going to at least try to be hopeful to that point of the year.
Harry Douglas, Pete Carroll will lead the Las Vegas Raiders to the playoffs. Do you believe that or not?
Bros, I'm going with not. Even though the Raiders are going to be better as a football team, they got their quarterback in Geno Smith. They drafted Ashton Genty. They still have Brock Bowers at the tight end position, who played very, very well last season. But the AFC West is the toughest division, in my opinion, when you look at the National Football League. So I'm going with not.
Bill, what do you think? You had the Raiders doubling their win total in an earlier segment.
Unfortunately, that only gets them to 8.
And that's not going to do it.
And you need more typically. The Raiders, I think there's a lot to be excited about, but this team whiffed on so many draft picks in the John Gruden era, in the Josh McDaniels era, guys who aren't even on the roster anymore. They have to rebuild that stuff to get the stuff underneath to go with their core, their exciting young players in Bowers and Ashton Genty.
All right, one more. If I said Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams and the Chicago Bears will make the playoffs, do you believe that or not?
I believe it, but I'm a little nervous about believing it. I think it's going to take a lot of consistency from Caleb Williams. We saw Harry Douglas earlier in the show talk about staying on schedule, avoiding hero ball. That's what they have to do week after week. He did it for a couple leagues last year, but wasn't able to do it throughout the entire season.
All right, well, fortunately, we have here with us today our ESPN NFL Nation Bears reporter and also overall versatile star of the network. What, you host Unsportsmanlike this morning? You don't host First Take? Well, thanks for fitting us in, Courtney Cronin. It's awesome.
Favorite crew.
It's awesome to see you. So, like, when you look at the Bears and what they're facing this year, new coach, obviously the quarterback second year, like, what kind of pressure is on these guys to do well right away?
Well, Ben Johnson didn't take this job because he expected to have to slow play it to success. He comes from the division leader in Detroit, and obviously he had his pick of a lot of different places. He came to Chicago for Caleb Williams, but that puts a lot more pressure on Caleb. And of course, he's always going to be judged against who they could have taken but didn't. They had the #1 overall pick in 2023. They could have taken C.J. Stroud. They trade that pick away. They could have taken Jaden Daniels, who led his team in his first year to the NFC Championship game. Didn't really even entertain the thought. So I look at the pressure on Caleb. Some of it fair, some of it not. I'm with Mike T on this. We've talked about the 68 sacks that need to come down. That's way more important than having a 4,000-yard passer. But because this franchise has been so inept at developing quarterback talent, drafting and developing quarterback talent, whoever the next guy is always puts that pressure on that player to succeed. So for Caleb and for Ben Johnson in year 1 to show not just marked improvement, but like a lot of improvement from where they were last season, I think is pretty significant.
What do you got, Mike?
Yeah, I was going to say, we've talked about this quite a bit. I think what's really interesting, guys, is the style of this offense, which is Ben Johnson, somebody I work with in Miami. I know he wants to be under center. Great staff from Hembo. They led the NFL last year. 50% of their snaps in Detroit, where he was the offensive coordinator, were under center. 37% play action. When you talk to quarterbacks, it takes a while to get used to playing with your back to the line of scrimmage. Caleb Williams had 8, the number 8. Total snaps in college, taking snaps. That's unbelievable. So everything Courtney says, I agree with, but I just think stylistically, this is going to take a minute. And in Chicago, it's really hard to be patient developing a quarterback in a big market.
A lot on his plate, Harry Douglas, but what in your mind is at stake for Caleb Williams in his second season?
I say number one, I think this is a roster that could make the playoffs, even though the NFC North is a tough division. But when you look at how the offensive line is revamped, from a culture standpoint, Ben Johnson is going to change that. And I think also from the standpoint of Ben Johnson being the head coach and the play caller, you protect your quarterback by running the football. That's why you go and you change the culture within your offensive line. But he has phenomenal weapons around him as well. But for Caleb Williams, you have to have the ability to play from the pocket, play on schedule, play on time. You cannot freelance things and let that be the main corporate of your game in the National Football League from the quarterback position. So, I think that run game is going to be able to help him out. That defense as well, create a couple turnovers, get them extra possessions, but also situational football. If situational football is just different last year for the Chicago Bears, we might be talking about a different story. All these things that I just mentioned, Ben Johnson is going to be able to revamp being the head coach and also the play caller for this offense.
Yeah, it's amazing. They were a second or two away from being 5-2 before the Hail Mary with Washington. So life comes at you fast. You're there. You're there every day. You're in the building. You're talking to people. You're watching practice. A lot of change there, not just the head coach. What's it like there right now? What's the feeling around the team?
I think there's pressure within the locker room to win because think about the veterans on this team. DJ Moore, Cole Kmet, Jalen Johnson. Montez Sweat, you can throw them in there too. They've never been on winning teams. It's a lot of years in the NFL to have to go through rebuild after rebuild. I know Cole Kmet described the chaos that he's gone through every single offseason as almost becoming kind of normal. That's an indictment on the franchise. So Ben Johnson, day one, meeting one, when he gets all the veterans and all the players together before they bring the rookies in, has a meeting, and Tremaine Edmonds said that the message was very clear. We're here to win now. They've gone through the arduous rebuild. That was 2022. That was 2023. Last year, they were supposed to take a step. They know that they didn't. There were obviously frustrations. We talked about DJ Moore's body language ad nauseum. The defense absolutely fell apart after that Hail Mary in Week 5 and lost 10 straight games. That cannot happen again. These players are being paid a lot of money, and the roster's getting expensive. Like, you got to win now, not necessarily, I know the expectations for playoffs are a lot of people view it differently because they're plus 450 to win the division, but you have to start taking steps to getting in contention when Caleb's on his rookie contract. That's how good teams do it. That's how the Bears want to do it.
Is that realistic, Bill, for the Bears to be that kind of team this year?
It is realistic, of course. I mean, they were on that path for at least a period of time last year before things fell apart. I mean, when you go out in back-to-back off seasons and you get your dream quarterback, and then the next offseason you get your dream head coach, and Ben Johnson might be the most hyped head coach, first-time head coach at least, in terms of first-time head coach hires since maybe Buddy Ryan. We're talking about decades of coaches. I mean, this is a guy who everyone sees as the man, the guy you needed to get this offseason. The Bears went out and got him. So I do think you have to see massive improvement. You have to see more consistency throughout the season. You can't have them fall off a cliff and lose 10 games in a row. But I think you have to see growth and just a infrastructure to succeed. Because even in the past, when they've had successful seasons like that Mitchell Trubisky year, it hasn't stuck around. It's been 1 year and then kind of back to the doldrums. I think you need to see steady growth and a thing to build upon, not just in 2025, but in 2026 and beyond.
So their offseason, Mike, have they done enough to be that kind of team? What grade would you give their offseason?
I would say a B+ from a standpoint, like the Bills' point. You check a lot of boxes. I mean, you go into the second round, you start talking about the Ozzie Trapillos of the world and the Luther Burtons, and then you go back to Colston Loveland and get 3 veteran offensive linemen right at the start of the off season. They did a very good job. So, to me, the pieces are in place. But I actually had another question for Courtney. Given all the talent they have, you're around there every day. Does Caleb Williams have the mental toughness to handle the inevitable bumps in the road that are going to come in year 2 with all these expectations?
They've been very intentional about working on that element. And I know, body language has come up a bunch. I just talked about it with DJ Moore. With Caleb and his